I hope students you are enjoying the passages. The CLAT aspirants are ready for CLAT, and so whatever method you are going to apply for the passage solving strategy, you have to conquer the passage. This is the utmost goal. This is the bullseye. This is your target which you have to really attain. We have done 3 passages and coming up with the 4th one. We'll be also doing, students saying, ma'am, please do to poems. I am going to do the poems also, don't worry about it. So in that case, need not worry, each and every scenario would be discussed in this. Let's begin with the 4th passage. I've done this first passage which is related with Americans. The second passage which was again about the first murderer in US, right? And then the third passage about Roosevelt. Moving on to the 4th question. This is an interesting one. You would really enjoy doing this based on literary devices, right? Let's start with it. A metaphor is a poetic device. What is metaphor? It is a poetic device. It's a literary device that deals with comparison. Although those who have attended my literary devices classes easily know metaphor and simile is different. A comparison with like as so is a simile, and a comparison without like as so is a metaphor. She is like a doll is a simile, and she is a doll is a metaphor. It compares similar qualities of compares, what does it compare? Similar qualities of 2 dissimilar objects. With a simple metaphor, one object becomes the other. Love is a rose. See this, as I said, she is a doll. Love is a rose. This is an example of metaphor. You can see this colon here, punctuation, which indicates you're going to start with a list. Although this does not sound like a particularly rich image, a metaphor can communicate so much about a particular image. What does it do? It communicates about a particular image. That poets use them more than any other type of figurative language. The reason for this is that poets compose their poetry to express what they are experiencing emotionally at that moment. Poets have a habit to compose all those things that they are experiencing at the moment. Consequently, what the poets imagine love to be may or may not be our perception. Maybe our perception, our idea, our outlook of looking at things of the poems may be different from the poets. Therefore, the poet's job is to enable us to experience it, to feel it in the same way that the poet does. What is our work? To imagine and feel as the poet does. We should be able to nod in agreement. Nod is moving the head, saying yes. And yes, that's it. I understand precisely where the person is coming from. So you can easily understand the poet's idea and you can nod your head. Let's analyze this remarkably unsophisticated metaphor. Sophisticated is well-mannered, well-cultured. Concerning love and the rose. What was this? Love is a rose. Love is compared to rose, the beautiful rose. And the rose to see what it offers, because the poet uses a comparison with the rose. First we must examine the characteristics of that flower. First what we must do? We must imagine the characteristics of that flower. What is that flower like? A rose is a spectacular in its beauty. Its petals are velvety, soft, and its aroma is soothing and pleasing. It's possible to say that a rose is actually a veritable feast to the senses. Please note and underline, veritable, very true. Feast to the senses. Seeing the rose itself is a party, a treat to the eyes. The visual, the tactile, and the oral. The sense organs applied, the sense of sight, touch, and sound. 3 sense organs are applied out of the 5 sense organs that we have. The rose appearance, I just scroll it once. The rose appearance seems to border on perfection. Its appearance is very good. It's based on perfection. Each petal seemingly symmetrical in form. Isn't this the way one's love should be? Love should also be so symmetrical, so beautiful as the roses. A loved one should be a delight to one's senses and seem perfect. Somebody who loves, like a mother loves, fondles the child. So it's a delight to the eyes. It's a treat to the eyes. It's wonderful for the sense organs. Soothing, comforting, balming, relaxing, and pleasing. However, there is another dimension added to the comparison by using a rose. Some students must have felt the difference after the 3 passages. Our passage has become a bit lengthy. It's approximately 452 words, exactly replica of CLAT. So, by comparing, by using a rose, roses have thorns. See, the grammatical use, roses have thorns. This is a comprehensive image. This is an including image. They do have some demerits too. The poet wants to communicate, otherwise a daisy or a mum would have been presented to the audience as the ultimate representation of love. But the poet didn't, instead conveying the idea that roses can be treacherous. What is treacherous? Cheating, forgery. So can love. The metaphor tells us. When one reaches out with absolute trust to touch the object of his or her affection, a thorn can cause great harm. Be careful. Whenever you look at the rose, what do people say? Be careful. The metaphor admonishes. Admonish means scolding someone. Love is a feast to the senses, but it can overwhelm us. It can also hurt us. See, rose is beautiful. Rose is nice treat to the eyes. Love is also beautiful. Love is nice treat to the eyes. But beware, roses have thorns and love can also hurt you. This is what the simultaneous parallel meaning moving in the passage. It can prick us and cause acute suffering. This is the poet's perception of love and admonition. What is the point? Just this. It took almost 14 sentences to clarify a simple metaphor. Communicates is only 5 words. What is the artistry and joy of simple metaphor? You know, a metaphor which is of hardly how many words? That is 5 words. Love is rose. So this is the artistry and joy of a simple metaphor, and it takes 14 sentences to clarify and explain a simple metaphor. Understood the passage? Enjoyed it? Wonderful from the literature section. Turning to the questions. Main idea. Ma'am, main idea. Yes, your main idea is here, dear. What is the main idea of the passage? What is this passage talking about is to be kept in mind while doing the main idea. Poetic devices are necessary. Does the writer talk of various poetic devices? Onomatopoeia, hyperbole, synecdoche or metonymy? Does the writer talk about many literary devices? Not at all. Poetry must never cater to the senses. It should cater, it should affect the sense. A poetry is a complete poetry if it affects our sense organs, right? Always use words that create one specific image. The metaphor is the great poetic device. How easy, how you know, if you go for the simple little point, what is this passage about? The importance of metaphor, right? Here we are. Next question. It can be inferred, your favorite question, students, inference and main idea. It can be inferred that a metaphor is, what is actually a metaphor? Metaphor is a type of figurative language, a poetic device, not precise enough. A type of flower. It is not a flower, it is not precise. Only poetic device or a type of figurative speech, if you go for it. If you see, it is used for what? It is used for embellishment. It is used for decoration. It makes something beautiful. The language becomes gaudy. The language becomes beautiful. And that is, it's ornamental. So it's a type of a figurative language which is ornamental in nature. Next question, the 16th question. According to the writer, what is he saying? Thorns protect the rose from harm, reduce the ability to love another, add a new element to the image of love, are just more images to compare to a rose. Now, what is the writer trying to say by a thorn? That every rose has a thorn. The thorns are part of rose. So, rose is beautiful. So, same way love is beautiful. But if rose has a thorn, it can prick you, it can hurt you. Same can love hurt you. That's what the meaning of thorn is. So it adds what? It adds a new element to the image of love. It makes love something look more beautiful. right? Turning to our next two questions of the passage. It can be inferred that the true meaning of the love is a rose metaphor. I'll have to, yes. Rose metaphor is that. What is the meaning? What is our true meaning of the love rose metaphor? Is that, what is it? Love is a true joy. Love comes only once in a lifetime. Anywhere it's being talked about that love just comes once in your life, or love is never permanent. Love is a combination of good and bad experience. If we go for all those points here, we find it is true joy. Of course, we don't have any idea about it is the first time or it's permanent or something, but we do know that it's combination of good and bad. How good and bad? Rose is beautiful, but rose has a thorn. Same way, love is beautiful, but love has some ugly side too. And turning to the last question of the passage. What is the poet's intention? I repeat, what is the poet's intention in the passage? To release anger, to announce heartache. Do you find any anger or heartache here? Not at all. These are very absurd points. To enable to experience the poet's point of view, or to reward the senses. Are all the senses affected? No, that's not the purpose. So the answer is very crystal clear. To enable you to experience the poet's point of view. I hope you understood it, because this is the passage which is based on literary devices, which is a part and parcel of your course. So, waiting for your feedback, your likes, and please do subscribe it. Thank you.